They built a glass paradise way too high, then the bubble pop. The silent sound of foreclosure signs are all over town. I got a bad loan, a promise they believe. Now the dream is over, they're feeling deceived. I watch from the sidelines, patient and cool, playing by a different set of rules. All I wanna do is, and I can do is take the window. All I wanna do is, and I'll cash up hard and watch the funds grow. This is straight up capitalism, chip, chip, boom. Sweeping up the pieces with the concrete boom. When I do, when I do, when I do. Get a call from my contact, a whisper on the phone. Another empty unit, the speculator is gone. He says a shame with a crocodile tear as he sells me their future for a fraction of last year. The paperwork's easy, a cash only deal. That heartbreak and panic is my next big steal. They get a cardboard box, I get the ocean view. It's nothing personal, it's just what I do. And a casual body, take your condo. And a casual body, and watch the fence grow. This is straight up capitalism, chick, chick, boom. Sweeping up the pieces with the concrete broom. When I do wrong, when I do wrong, when I do wrong. Some myself ask for a quick return. Some I rent out, let the lesson burn. They call it a crisis, I call it a sale. In this concrete jungle, the strongest prevail. No funny business, I am the business. They sold you a lead, now I'm the witness. Seek your condo.
Happy Thursday, Miami. This is Condo Capitalism. We're going to be discussing what's going on in the condo market, Tri-County, South Florida area, Miami-Dade, Broward, Palm Beach County. I'm Peter Zalewski, condo consultant, expert witness, founder of the Miami Condo Investment Club. We got a treat for you today. We are bringing in the expert on South Florida condos, nobody else but Jack McCabe of McCabe Research and Consulting. Make sure you check out his website, McCabeResearch.com. Jack and I are going to talk about what was the winter buying season like. We're coming up to the end of it. Our opinion, winter buying season goes from November through April. This is the time you come to town for an event. You come here for vacation. You come to go on a cruise. You catch the bug. You like South Florida. You think about buying a condo. You start shopping. Inevitably, if you do find that condo and you go to transact on it, you get the financing negotiation. You're probably closing the summer buying season. So this is the time to shop. We're going to ask Jack what happened in the winter buying season. Remember, just a couple more days left till we get to May. And then more importantly, we're going to ask him what happens in May, when you get the beginning of the heat, the humidity, and the hurricane warnings. This year, we got the FIFA World Cup. Is anybody going to care about condos, or are they focused on the football, on the pitch, on June and July, August? Everybody goes on vacation. Labor Day of September, you should come back ready to rock and roll, but we got midterm elections coming on. Is anybody going to invest before they know what's going on up in Washington? These are all the questions we're going to run past Jack. He's called it before, and let's see if he can call it again. All that being said, Jack McCabe, McCabeResearch.com. How are you doing, Jack?
I'm doing great, Peter, and yourself?
Everything is fantastic. It's too damn expensive, Jack. Affordability, affordability, affordability. I can't afford to do anything. It's too damn expensive.
You know, you got to make $100,000 a year down there just to really survive anymore, don't you? It's crazy.
That's like workforce housing.
Oh, you can't go out to dinner. You can't afford a decent place. People are leaving. The long-term Floridians are leaving. They're being pushed out. There's been a gentrification going on that I think is nearing its end as well. But so anyway, yeah, it's How do people do it? I don't know, Peter.
You know, Jack, and that is the question. You know, we got a lot going on down here. A lot of people got down here in recent years, 2021, 2022, 2023. You didn't have to wear a mask. You could work from home. And if you went to Miami Beach, you could get on a police car and twerk on Ocean Drive. Well, those good days of everybody outbidding each other, multiple offers coming in on places, those days are gone, Jack. Inventory is growing, sales are increasing, but prices are falling. Nobody kind of knows where we go from here. Financing, try to get yourself a mortgage. I thought mortgage rates are going to 5% and 4%. Well, Jack, they're getting closer to 7%. We got a little bit of a war going on in Iran, Straits of Hormuz, price of gas. Everything seems to be out of control, Jack. So we want to tap into your experience, your wisdom, your insight. Help us understand what's going on and help us sort of eliminate so much of the hype, which is South Florida.
Yes, South Florida's always been a lot of hype and not a whole lot of truth until it's undeniable. So, well, let's start first off with interest rates. There's been a lot of people saying, oh, they're going to go down. Oh, he's going to put in a guy in the Fed chair that's going to lower rates. Well, there's absolutely no way any economist would tell you that you could lower rates right now that makes sense. And if anything, they probably should be going up to try and keep inflation in check. So we'll have to see what happens come middle of next month when we get the chair replacement and find out what they're going to do. But I can tell you this, the Fed's two jobs are to keep inflation, try and keep it down near 2%, and keep full employment, which they consider to be 96% of the workforce. That's their two main goals. And right now, you've got inflation is going up. Everything is so expensive. I just saw a report from homes.com saying that foreclosures are up 26% across the country in the last quarter. People are hurting. They can't afford to do anything. Many are paying 50 to 70% of their incomes towards their housing expenses. It leaves them no money to really do anything. Now, the people coming down from the Northeast, well, they've come down with a lot of dough, big jobs, a lot of dough, but that's changing now. Now they can't work at home anymore. Companies are telling them you have to be in the office here. We're not getting the production out of you like we used to. So that's going to slow it down. Prices are also falling up in the Northeast as well, which means they're not going to get as much money for their properties that they thought they were going to get. Meanwhile, South Florida has gone up a good 80% since COVID hit over the last 6 years. You can make a case some markets have doubled in price. So all of these indicators coming together, many were very positive, but they were tempered. That's the whole thing. People don't understand. They think when things start rolling, it's never going to end. Well, that's just like when you get to the top of a hill on a roller coaster, it's not going to go down. Well, guess what? You're in for a thrill ride, right? So I think what's going to happen is this is a year of a major correction, and especially for South Florida. We're going to see more condo projects. Of course, Mercedes-Benz, the most recent one.
$80 million, Jack. $80 million. How do you bring it? How do you, first of all, try to develop a project in what I would call a C-minus location, nowhere near the water? You bring in Mercedes, which I think a lot of people would recognize as a high-end brand. You put it on that brand on this project, and then not solely about this location in the Brickell Avenue area of Greater Delta, Miami. And then you get hit with a foreclosure suit. How does that happen, Jack? Is it a tell? Is it a one-off? Is it an anomaly? What's sort of your read? Is this a precursor of what to expect? Because maybe developers didn't do very well this winter buying season because everything's so damn expensive. Traffic at Miami International Airport, foreign passenger traffic fell 1.25%. Only the fourth time in more than 20 years that international passenger traffic was down. It was supposed to grow 8.5%. 52% of pre-construction buyers are from overseas. 86% of them are coming from Latin America. And we got a little pop-up detention center, Jack, called Alligator Alcatraz, located 50 miles down from Brickell City Center. Is it an anomaly? Is this the start of something? How should people read this?
No, I think it's the start of something, Peter. And I think all those other developers that have co-branded buildings with high-end luxury names like Bentley and Armani and others, got to be looking at this and wondering, if it happens with a Mercedes-Benz branded product, what could happen with us? So I think sales were very slow. I think even deposits were slow. I think they've been saying that they've been selling unbelievably, and that's the hype and the fluff and blowing smoke. And that's what South Florida is known for. Developers have always done that. Is it 20 years? I've had my business there. It's always been that way. They say, "Oh, we're 80% sold." They hire me to do a market feasibility study. I get their sales logs from them. It turns out they've only got 20% of them sold and another 10% with deposits, and I'm like, hey, what happened to the 80%, So they never say they have less sales of what they do. So I think a lot of them, it was a very slow buying season this year. I think that the Northeasterners have tapered off. I think the Canadians are basically giving the middle finger to the U.S. right now and saying, we've had enough with your BS. I look forward to seeing how many Canadians came down this year as compared to years past. I'll bet it's a huge drop. Latin Americans, even if they have all the correct papers and everything, they're hesitant because they've read where even U.S. citizens are getting shot in the streets, or people with legitimate papers are getting detained, they're getting shipped overseas, they're spending months in prisons, and they're saying, too risky. No, too risky. We'll go somewhere else. The Europeans, I think they're to the point now where they've had it with Trump in the U.S. I mean, you've got many of our strongest allies won't even let our planes land in their countries right now to fight over in Iran. They're saying, no, you can't come. Nothing on you. If he wanted to get from Israel to see Trump, you can't do it because he can't land anywhere. So we've got a very volatile situation now. It's gone from boom, boom, boom to, where things could really make a huge correction for all the artificial appreciation and inflated values that we've seen in the last 6 years. That's my take on it. Are there going to be some bargains? Yeah, there's still going to be some bargains. Would I go out and buy a condo right now at full price value, even if it was situated in a great location? No. Why would you do that? Why would you buy at the high end of the market? Every smart investor I've ever known says, you buy low, you sell high. Not the other way around,
Not in Miami.
Yeah, and a lot of people have got burned. I mean, how many developers we saw 20 years ago went out of business? Guys like George Perez, who had the most condos at that time, I was surprised that he made it through. But Perez is a smart guy.
But he also had the legendary meeting, Jack, if you remember, according to the Miami Herald, called everybody in, all his lenders, brought in the box of keys.
And said, yeah. Well, I remember that. He played hardball with them, and then it was like, he put their backs up against the wall, he kind of called. But look at how many other developers. I mean, we saw some big national brands like Levitt and Sons and WCI and others that went belly up, bankrupt. WCI's come out of bankruptcy. They're an operating business, but much, much smaller now than they used to. Levitt and Sons disappeared. How many banks went out of business because of all the crappy loans,
Every Friday, you look forward to see who was getting shut down this Friday, because the feds always do it on Friday about 3:00. They swoop in, they grab control, they have a suitor. By Monday morning, they got some, some kind of new signage up. They got something covering it. They put up a new sign, and overnight, the entire old bank, which is struggling, is absorbed and replaced by somebody new. So once it starts rocking and rolling, Jack, it rocks and rolls. It's almost like stairs up, elevator down.
Yeah, and that's a good analogy. I like that. So I think we're at the crux point. We've reached the top. We're past it now. We're starting to see buildings go into foreclosure. We're starting to see a lot of people have some serious financial problems now. When you go to take out a loan, they always used to use a very conservative criteria. 28-30% of your household income can go towards your house payments, and up to 36-40% max can go towards your house payment and any other revolving credit debts. Now we have a large amount of people that are paying 50 to 75% of their household incomes just to stay living where they are. I mean, they literally are married to their houses. They're like a prison for them right now. And for those that, want to sell and get out, they better do something real quick. And they have to make their properties look very appealing compared to the competition, especially price-wise. If they don't, they're probably going to be stuck with them, and they're going to see this thing go down. Now, I can tell you, at the height of the market in 2006, those people that bought properties in 2005 and 2006, it took 10 years. Prices went down. They went down 50, 55%. The condo conversions more than that. But it took to 2015, 10 years, before they came back up to what they paid. So anybody that tells you, oh, you're never going to lose money on real estate, you should look at it like they're telling you they've got a bridge in Arizona they want to sell.
Yeah, Arizona especially. Exactly. So Jack, it seems like something interesting is going. 2026, state of Florida finally laid down the law, and they said, and let's go back to June of 2021. You got the Surfside condo collapse, nearly 100 people died. You got a $1 billion settlement paid out to the families of the victims. Insurance companies don't want to insure this stuff if they don't know what they have in terms of these condos. They put in place or lobby to get the legislation, pass legislation to inspect all these buildings. Let's get an assessment. Where do the buildings stand? What's the quality of it? And let's actually require that the associations start to fund this stuff. They give all the associations a little bit of a lead time, but by 2026, hard stop, you have to take this inspection report, which is done by a licensed architect, a licensed engineer. You now have to start to fund it. You have to work with the plan that's laid out by the experts. You, the association members, your volunteers, your condo commanders, you're worried about the smell of the lobby. You're worried about what the color of the lobby is. When in reality, it's the stuff kind of behind the scenes, the mechanical, the electrical, the plumbing, the structure, the roof, all that type of stuff. So Jack, 2026, all of a sudden, you got to start funding this stuff. You can either hit everybody with special assessment or you can take out a loan. But a lot of the interest rates for this private money loans for the work, it's coming in at 9, 10, 11%. So people are getting stressed, they're getting challenged. And what do some of them do? Some of them who can't make it happen, they look to sell. But some of them psychologically are like, I deserve this because the price was like that back in 2021, 2022. I'm not going to let it go. It's a steal. But Jack, it's like a piece of fruit. If you don't pick it at the right time, it's going to die on the vine. Are we starting to see that? Do you think that's starting to happen where some of these people thought they might be able to sell during the winter? Now as we're going into summer and they're seeing what's going on with gas prices now, which nobody could have predicted. Do you think we're at that come to religion moment yet?
Come to Jesus. Yeah, it's that time really. And boy, if you haven't yet, truthfully, I mean, the boat's pulling away. You may end up not getting on the boat and falling in the water. So, yeah, I think so, Peter. I do. I think this was the crux year. I think it's a big, big change. As we go on this year, we're going to see more discounts on listing prices. Last time I checked, it was 14% of the MLS had lowered their price from the previous month before. That's
Wow.
a pretty large number. It'll get bigger because most of these people were unrealistic about what the value of their properties are now. Like you said, they're thinking back 2 or 3 years ago. Well, that's gone. So we're going to see listing prices continue to come